and welcome to another episode of Your Right to Know, brought to you by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. I will be your host this evening, and as always with me is my lovely co-host, Mary Lotze. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Andrew. Thank you.
So we have definitely a lot to talk about. This is a recap of the week that was. Saturday, July 13th through Sunday, July 27th of 2024. With us is Aaron Packard and James Amarillo. So good evening, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good, Andrew.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So first, I'm going to preface your introductions with a bit about our topic tonight. We have been through a roller coaster week. It started with the attempted assassination of President Trump, which literally came within a quarter of an inch.
A miracle.
Yeah.
It was a miracle.
It literally was a miracle. Almost like God was on his shoulder saying, hey, buddy, turn your head, quick. And then you gentlemen were at the Republican convention, and that must have been quite an experience, and we'll be talking about that. And then to top off the week was Joe Biden saying adieu to his 4 more years of second term by stepping down.
And I'll use the term, it was a bloodless coup, but we'll get to that.
It was a coup. He was pushed out by Pelosi and all of
Schumer.
all
those
the heavyweights.
guys.
So we got 8 days before we get there.
Exactly. And so we saw President Trump get up. Everybody's heart was literally in their throats. I myself was at the Texas Roadhouse, just about to dig into a steak. I got the word, I saw the footage, and I just told my wife, take me home. I lost all my appetite, could not even function. My eyes were glued to my phone until I got home.
Yeah.
And then you guys got to see J.D. Vance.
Oh, yes.
And now he is the VP pick. So let's get into the conversation, guys. I mean, we only have a half-hour show. Were you watching TV Saturday night, July 13th?
I was driving. I drove across country to Milwaukee, and Brian Latina, the delegate for this congressional district, and for reference, I was the alternate delegate. He called me to say Trump was shot. I was on the speakerphone and driving.
Like going off the road.
And no, I was thankfully I was calm. I was, by all means, I was wondering what the heck was going on, but I had Christian music playing on my radio because that's all that comes in the western part of New York, down into that corner of Pennsylvania. So as soon as I was able to pull off to the rest area, I did a little, hello, I'm safe, I'm glad President Trump is safe. Brian Latina had mentioned, no, he rose his hand, he's good, he's alive. And I was like, wow. So I didn't see the footage until Saturday evening when I got into Milwaukee, Sunday morning.
Yes, so I was also driving on my way to the convention, and it was funny, I was on Twitter, and they said shooting attempt, President Trump, so I looked to see if it was real. And you just hear click, 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 and you see Trump go, did I just get bit by a bee or something? Yeah. And obviously it wasn't a bee, and so he's down, and then he gets up, and he says, fight, fight, fight. And I got chills. It was similar to the feeling I got when I saw Kobe score 60 in his last game, when Trump, rose up, and even when they were ushering him off the stage, he was saying, fight, fight, fight. He didn't want to even leave. He would have kept talking.
He wanted his shoes.
He wanted his shoes.
Yeah.
He wanted his shoes.
Well, Donald Trump would never be humbled to walk off without looking.
Well, actually, from interviews with Donald Trump afterwards, they wanted to put him on a stretcher, and he was like, I'm not coming out of here in a stretcher.
Yeah.
No.
Like, he was absolutely defiant. He was walking out of there. He didn't care. He had blood pouring from his ear. And, the ear is the most bloodiest part to get, to be injured.
Yeah.
Very vascular.
A lot. So we saw the blood trickling down. The fist went in the air. we knew he was okay at that point in
Right.
time.
When I got the
Absolutely.
confirmation on the phone
Yeah.
from Brian Latina, and his fist is in the air, he's good. I was like, okay, then everything's going to be all right,
Yeah.
and it was.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the news coverage after seeing this?
It was unbelievable that they were saying like strange noises, Trump falls, like they were trying to make
Yeah.
it like a Biden moment.
Biden moment.
And it was like, no, he got shot in the air. And not
Yeah.
only did he dove to the ground, he got back up and he did not want to. So I thought it was obviously completely biased. And my first thought was, why would you cover it like that? Knowing it's a historic event, you'd want people to, follow your coverage. But yeah, it wasn't fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
And then-
media coverage was just totally lopsided bias. People calling it a staged event and whatnot, and Donald Trump speaking. And if you're going to get to that later, I'll save it. But it was just, I know what he was going through, having survived near death. So
Yeah.
he had to lean into it, own it, and now he's come alive, just tenfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, what did you think? I mean, there were people out there saying, well, with his rhetoric, he deserved it.
No.
I mean, that's
Nobody deserves it.
No.
Nobody deserves it. We all have enemies, and I don't wish that on my worst enemy. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Now you're former military.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the Secret Service?
Absolute failure and cover-up. Absolute failure and cover-up. They didn't post men in position like they should have. They just made up all kinds of stories. And the now former head of the Secret Service is gone. She couldn't answer one direct question at all. It was a total failure and cover-up.
And the Secret Service agents that were there were obviously inept.
Oh yes, absolutely. And
Especially some of the. I mean, the
There was
woman-
one girl, she was like hiding behind the podium.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's.
Well, she was the one that she
couple
was.
of overweight
He's
females, they didn't belong there.
6'3", and she was about 5'5", maybe at the
Yeah. At the
most.
most.
So she can't cover him.
And the man,
Yeah.
the tall Secret Service agent, was literally putting his elbow, in, trying to put it in front of Trump's head. So
Right.
if there was another shooter out there, it wouldn't have been as successful. It was.
I mean, she couldn't even put her gun away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you know that was complete ineptness. She doesn't have the proper training, and I hate to put it this way, but this is what it's being said.
It was a DEI hire.
DEI hire.
absolutely.
And in addition to that, you take a look. Jill Biden had more Secret Service when she was speaking at another event than Donald Trump did.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, it was only a few months ago where they wanted to take the Secret Service protection away from Donald Trump.
Reduce his coverage, even though he was bringing tens of thousands, 50,000 people to an event. They wanted to cut his coverage or not give him more coverage. Meanwhile, they wouldn't even give RFK coverage. And that's all rests right with Joe Biden. That was right with Joe Biden's decision.
Yeah, I fully believe that, and I believe the ineptness was. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it was just too convenient.
Well, when
they,
you use
they allowed events to unfold as they did. They were offered drones. They turned them down.
but he had a drone.
Yeah, he had a drone. Yeah, I was going to say.
So they were drones offered to pull security. The Secret Service turned them down. There was outside perimeter of sentries. They went inside.
It was too hot, wasn't it?
All the coverage that was supposed to be out there was pulled at the last moments.
And there were actually attendees who were alerting the local police. There's a guy up there with
Yes,
a gun.
absolutely, they did.
And the Secret Service
The
did not.
sloped roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the slope.
It was too slopey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
a
is it?
2-year-old could have went on that roof and been
that's,
safe.
That's the same grade that you would have for a handicap
ramp.
Yeah.
And it was too dangerous to put Secret Service members on?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Excuses. It was all
Yeah.
excuses and
Which is why you
deflection.
know it was a cover-up.
Right.
Now let's move on. But first, I'd like you both to introduce yourself. Aaron, I think everybody knows you. Former.
Most of the people around here know me. I'm Aaron Packard. I'm still processing the experience. I am a candidate for U.S. Senate. I'm a write-in right now, and information is being posted on the site. And
you had an official capacity. You were an alternate delegate
I was an
to the
alternate
convention.
delegate, correct. And I was selected from a pool. I wrote back in February. I put my name down to be a delegate in whatever capacity, and I was selected out of everybody who volunteered, and it was strictly volunteers.
James.
Yes, so I'm James Amarello. I'm from Holden, right next to Fitchburg. I had run for state senate in 2022, and that was kind of my first time kind of being into politics. I did well enough and asked to go to the convention. We had to go through some channels, and Brad Wyatt hooked it up. He's the new state committee man, and I'm grateful for him for it, and I'm happy to be here.
Now, so
He's the national committee man.
Yeah.
you were there in a capacity just as a visitor.
So I was a guest, but
guest.
you basically had access to everything except the floor to vote. But I spent so much of my time outside of the venue, just like meeting different like people and having conversation with people who you wouldn't otherwise get to meet. So I mean, I missed a lot of the speeches, to be honest. You know, just
Well,
hanging out.
I have to know because, Aaron, you and I were texting the night I was watching it on TV when former President Trump, and I'll use the word, I felt it was a triumphant entry. And here he just came from a miracle, a near-death miracle. And that was Saturday night. And Monday night, he waltzed into the arena. And my heart was in my mouth. And you and I are texting.
I was trying to give real
rundown,
time,
which was so critical and so important to people. You were doing it, not just to me, but you were putting it out. What was it like? I want to ask both of you, but
I have goosebumps right now under my coat talking about it. It really is electric, and it's still lingering a week and a half later. The energy in the convention was more than I have words for. It was electric, period. The crowd loved it. There was word that got out that, he wasn't supposed to show up until Wednesday or so. No, he said, we are fighting. I'm showing up Monday, period. I want to be part of the whole convention. And he showed up. He made his appearance, and people absolutely absorbed his love and gave it right back.
James, what was your feeling?
We were happy to have him there, and especially he showed up early, so it was cool, and it kind of set the tone for the convention.
Yeah, the tone. I've heard people dispute this word, unifying. Do you think it was unifying?
Yeah, I think in general, just seeing what he had went through, seeing him in person, and just the energy throughout the convention. Everyone was so friendly. Everyone that you would have thought these are the people that they talk badly about, and nicest people in the world, and everyone was just together for one reason, that is to help our country, save our country, lower prices, and bring stuff to how it was.
The unifying mode was spot on, and security was tighter than Fort Knox.
What was the, when we talk about, again, the whole sense of what was the number one topic of conversation when you first got there? Was it, everybody was like, where were you when President Trump got shot? Was that kind of the first thing that came up?
I myself, I'm sure Amarello here could attest to it, that we were all just wondering, okay, what's next? What's he going to show? What's he going to say? Who's going to speak for him? We were all biting at the bit for what was he going to say? Who was he going to show? Who is he going to present on stage? It was just that much. We all know where we were. Nobody cared where we were. The fact that we were all there together in Milwaukee, that's
the only
what
thing
mattered.
that counted.
We were all there. That's a plus. Plus number two was he's going to be coming out on stage.
Yeah. What did you think of the selection of J.D. Vance for vice president?
I thought it was a good selection. I think Vance is someone who, now carries the same values as Trump, and his background, given what the people in Appalachia are going through with, and throughout our country, the forgotten parts of our country with drug addiction and stuff like that. I think Vance relates to those people, and I think he's young, and I think he has a lot of energy, and he gave a great speech. It was powerful stuff.
Mary, we had talked before I left for Milwaukee, and your pick was J.D. Vance. I thought it was going to be Ben Carson, but J.D. Vance was the man, and I happened to have privilege of being on the floor. I didn't know J.D. was going to be coming out, but Massachusetts delegate was right across the red aisle from Ohio, and he was this far away from me, from Andrew to me, and I had a selfie, and when he said he was accepting the nod, I yelled out, "Hooah!" Even though he's a Marine, he smiled ear to ear and looked right at me, and I was able to snap a picture.
Yeah.
So that's a part of history that I can share with Fitchburgians.
Yeah.
It was amazing and electrifying.
I gave him a pat on the shoulder and I said, thank you for what you're doing for our country.
He's young and exuberant. He brings the energy that Donald Trump has been bringing along the past 8 years. He's carrying it, and he is what the youth of America needs to propel forward. So I think it was a very fine pick of Donald Trump to do.
What do you think of his acceptance speech on Wednesday?
He did exceptional. He was. His acceptance speech was off the charts.
Yeah, he mixed some humor in there, and I think he's going to be, a very interesting person to watch. Yeah.
He has Donald Trump's back for sure, and America's back. He really is 100% patriotic American.
It's interesting when we think of, people were always speculating who somebody should pick, and you think of a rounded out top two, right? So if you have a white man, now we tend to look for a black woman. We had that with Biden and Harris. Or if you have now a black woman, you're looking for a white man or another ethnicity man or something. And we tend to just constantly look at these ethnic and racial and these profiles to match up. And yet I think it's ironic or interesting with JD is when you look at the matching up, what you're looking at is matched up for who's representing middle class and lower class America.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. Race didn't matter. Sexual preference didn't matter. Orientation didn't matter.
And that's the thing
Religion,
with the Republican
what you're
Party
looking
right now.
at
We don't care about race, color, creed, sex, orientation, none of that. If you are a hardworking American, a patriotic American, that's what the message is. The message is don't react in hate, act with love.
Well, and he embodies, I believe, the American spirit of coming from basically nothing, a drug-addicted, 5-time married, dysfunctional home of his mother. And he rose himself up by what? Joining the U.S. Marine Corps and used the Marine Corps to give him the discipline, the structure, the focus he needed to then catapult himself through college, and then he excelled in college. And
he and his beautiful wife, they're just a great couple to move forward behind Donald Trump and Melania.
So let me ask you now, what about the actual acceptance speech of President Trump? I've heard mixed reviews on it. So what was your...
I thought it was amazing. I mean, the first 4 minutes, he's recounting, what kind of happened.
That must have been powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you could have heard a pin drop, right? Everyone's just hanging on to his every word. And as it went on, some people were like, oh, it wasn't too long. I could have listened to him for another 10 hours. Every point he touched, at one point, they brought up the graphic of the statistic he was looking at when he looked over to avoid the bullet. And that was powerful. And you could just tell, he's almost like... you could see like his faith is almost more ingrained, and it's going to be a more balanced, powerful Trump.
Yeah.
Well, they did say that he's changed after that event.
He looked changed when he came out Monday night. Did you all think that?
Absolutely.
He didn't, I don't know what it was, more sober?
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah.
I can attest to that. The near-death experience does change you. And I can definitely empathize with every bit of what Donald Trump has been through. He had to lean into it. And that the first part of the speech where he recounted his own words, not the press, not somebody else's words, his words. And he said he was only going to talk about it that once.
Yeah.
And that's true. You talk about it, you own it, and that's how you recover.
I was going to say that was as much for him
That was
probably
his therapy
as it is
in
for the
public
audience.
to share with everybody, so you could get the gist of what he experienced. And that graph saved his life.
Yeah.
Turning, swing,
1 centimeter.
1 centimeter away. And once his speech of the rest of the night went on, he progressed more into his anecdotal self, cracking jokes and being patriotic. He really, you could see the crescendo. It was awesome.
Just one more thing, like
Yeah.
in his speech, what is it? I was watching the teleprompter, and people, when he went off script, that's when he would start talking about like technical business and really intelligent stuff. And when he went back on script was when he was kind of saying more traditional stuff. But it's interesting, the stuff that's in his brain, he was giving out statistics, facts about inflation, unemployment, trade deals, geopolitics.
He is still on his game 100%.
Yes.
We really are running out of time, but very quickly, what was your favorite part?
My favorite
convention.
part were the Gold Star families. I was not snotting and blubbering, but I stood the entire time, and it was like somebody turned the faucet on in my eyes. It was just pouring. I was so emotional. The entire convention hall was emotional, just crying and glad-handing and rubbing shoulders and stuff. The Gold Star families are what tied it together for me.
Yeah.
And the World War II veteran who got up and said he was going to re-enlist. Amen, soldier.
Yeah.
James, what about you?
I think it was the friendship, the camaraderie, and being together with people of common values. Everywhere you went, everyone was so friendly, and you were able to just talk to so many nice people.
Right. A lot of delegate
We're
friends.
running very close, and I don't want to skip one huge subject.
Yes.
So, literally a few days ago, Joe Biden dropped from the campaign. We have to talk about that. I'm
Yes.
sorry, but that's 100% a topic that we have to talk
Sunday
about.
at 1 o'clock.
What did you guys think about the news? Where were you when you heard that he dropped?
So, I mean, at first I was like, Trump gets shot, now they give Biden COVID, Biden has COVID. And then like
I forgot the COVID.
Right,
Yeah.
he had COVID, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now they had to take it a step further and have him drop out and make it an emotional moment in the theater of it. I thought it was all just them trying to like counter Trump being shot, and it's like, how do you counter that? But at the end of the day, I mean, we knew that he wasn't fit to be president, and that dropout just confirmed it. And it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with in terms of Kamala and the propaganda they come up with her from going, she's not the one, blah, blah, blah. She was in like 9th place, in the primaries.
It's all theater. It really is all theater. After Biden's public dismal debate, they just had a plan from right from there. Hey, we're going to give him COVID and hiding Biden all over again.
Yeah.
So to publicly say that he was dropping out by letter, no. It had nothing to do with Biden. Biden is so mentally incapacitated, he probably is unaware in his basement right now.
How do you... So I opened the show with the fact that I called it a bloodless coup.
Yeah.
Do you
Absolutely
look at it that way?
I do. And the elite Democrats, the elitist Marxist control, that it is the fact that they have now snuffed out all their Democrat voters as well. They don't get a chance to pick. So much for their democracy.
One final question before we have to close. How did it feel to be really part of history last week? And to really be up close and personal as this last 8 days? I know you weren't in Butler, and I know you weren't with Biden, but how does it feel to be so close to everything that happened?
It's just powerful. I mean, me being young, I wasn't around for Kennedy. I wasn't around, Lincoln and all the other presidents.
Reagan.
Reagan. But just being a part of the convention, knowing that we could kind of bring that strength, unity, and happiness as a Republican Party, knowing what our common goal is, it's something I'll remember forever. And the convention was some of the most fun I've had. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Will you run for office again? Did this make you decide that you're definitely going to do it again?
This is kind of almost what kind of brought me back into it. But yeah, absolutely, sometime down the road. But it was an amazing experience. That convention was truly, it was life-changing.
Aaron, your own family history is part of history
Back to the
with the name of Packard and the Revolutionary War.
Packard answering the Lexington
How do
alarm.
you feel being
This past week and a half has been totally electric. I'm still processing it. I'll keep saying that. It's going to be a while before I come down. Being able to represent our backyard, as I've been preaching for the past couple of years, our backyard, the unity, the friendship, the camaraderie, it was all there at the convention, and now it's being dispersed back into the country. From all the delegates that I've met, all the friends that I made, they're bringing the same message back to the cities and towns, and it was absolutely an honor and a pleasure to be a part of it.
So now it appears we have Kamala. Who's going to be her running mate? Thoughts?
There's been speculation that the opponent I'm going after, Elizabeth Warren, is on her list. And also former Governor
Deval Patrick.
Deval Patrick, I saw was on. He wants to be. Yeah, no thank you.
I think it's going to come out left field. You've heard like Whitmer, you've heard Newsom, and it's, but I don't know if it's going to be someone we expect. I think they're going to try and be really calculated with it, and I just don't know who it's going to be.
I don't think she can be president anyway, being that she's an anchor baby.
It's going to need to be someone who like almost appeals more to the side that doesn't believe in Kamala, you know, so maybe someone more experienced or something like that.
She can't have somebody that's going to overshadow her, so that's one thing we have to look at.
She's the star, right?
We thank you, Andrew and I, for being with us tonight and being on our show and providing your insights for the whole week. I mean, I'm still processing it myself, and I'm sure you are too, because I cried more than one tear over this whole week.
I cried so many times over the week. I didn't know I could.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And we thank you for watching Your Right to Know and sitting in here with the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. As we leave you, we want you to know that your city or town Republican Committee is your only grassroots organization that supports and holds dear your constitutional rights and your conservative values. We encourage you to come and join us some night at the Republican Committee meeting, because to us, GOP stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity for all people, and we always stand for freedom. And God bless America.
God bless.
And God bless Donald Trump.
Yep.
America, we stand for freedom. So let us all unite to yearn and strive for our reflects our values, that preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might, that reflects our values, and preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and